Right, and we're live here, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for this next episode of the Netready Facebook Live events. I'm Stuart Calder, I'm VP for International Sales and Marketing here at Netready, and each week we're putting out informative content on the multi-level marketing industry. Today, I'm joined by none other, we do this every week.
Just for a change.
Just for another change. Richard Sletcher. Richard, how are you?
No, it's good to be here.
Good. Thank you for joining us once again. Thank you to everyone else that's joining us, guys. Throughout this session, we're going to be speaking about the beautiful Netready story, which obviously we're very passionate about, and there's a lot of content that we want to get through here. And we felt that it would be quite a nice way to set the tone for, we've got our YouTube channels, and we've got all of our channels that have the various content that we're speaking about, and how we're informing the market on the expertise that you have within this industry and what Netready has. And I believe this is a nice setting of the tone for that full content or that channel. And just to give us a bit of explanation, clarity, and credibility to who Netready actually is. So I'm very excited to dive into this. If you have any other questions as we go through this, please pop them into Facebook comment section, and we'll address them straight after this. So, Richard, what I'd like to get into first is just understand. I mentioned the word credibility earlier. I just want to understand, and the people listening want to understand more of your background, because we see you every week, and we're putting out all this great content, but truly just know your background, where you came from, your story, and then what led us to us sitting in these chairs right here today. So can you give us a little bit of background?
So how far back do I go?
So you were born in...
So 9 months before I was born. We won't go there.
We won't go there. No. Let's fast forward a little bit. Let's go to when you left school, but very high level up until this point.
Yeah. So I didn't finish school.
Okay.
So in standard 9, which is halfway through standard 9, I decided that's it. I'm done. And I became a musician, and I left home, and I took my guitar and I started traveling around the country playing music and singing. And that was quite amazing. I really enjoyed that. And in South Africa, you've got to do army service, national service. So every time I moved to a new gig, I'd sent the government a documentation about having left from one address.
Yes.
The previous address I'd been in, going to the address what I was just leaving.
Yeah.
So for about, 2 years, I was just one step always ahead of being called up and being drafted into the army.
Wow.
And I was hoping to kind of
carry
avoid
that on
it completely.
Yes.
But unfortunately I got caught.
Yeah.
So I got caught, and they told me, no, you got to go and do your army service, and they yanked me off to Pretoria. And
wow.
At the time, my hair was down here, so I had this long hair, this big beard, and I was playing bass guitar in a band, and so they said, no, sorry, the hair's got to go, which is extremely depressing. Wow. So off went the hair. They cut it they just shaved my head, buzz cut me. Yeah. So all my hair went off, and so I decided that there's no ways that I wanted to be in South Africa as a soldier, because at the time, remember, we were fighting a war.
Right.
We were fighting a war against the ANC, and it was like a civil war here.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I ever wanted to be involved with is shooting somebody or carrying a gun or being in something like that. So I decided, to hell with this. I mean, I have to do it. Yeah. So what I decided to do was sign up permanent force. And if you signed a permanent force, they would put you through college.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, well, what I'll do with the next 5 years, I'll focus on college. And so I went through college. I studied. So I got my diploma in electronics. And so I became an electronics engineer within the Defence Force, fixing radio equipment, etc. Yeah. And you had to stay 5 years.
Okay.
And so 5 years and 30 seconds later, I was done.
Bags packed.
I packed up my bags. I was out of there. And they said to me, you'll be coming back for what they called camps in those days. You had to go back once a year for a one-man camp. I said, you'll never see me again.
Yeah.
You got to find me first, and you're not going to find me.
Wow.
And I went back. I got my guitar. I dusted it off, and I started playing again. And I spent the next 25 years. I basically spent playing professionally.
Yeah.
It was epic. I loved every moment of it. Traveled around the country, played in sort of cover bands, but also played in original bands, and it was amazing.
I've always thought what it must feel like to stand up there, capture the crowd's attention, and just play the songs that you love, that they love, and everyone's just singing along to your music.
Oh, it was amazing. I genuinely loved every minute of it. But you
Really?
get to a point, unfortunately, where you've got, I mean, I got married and I had children, and your children need to have a stable
Right.
home and all the rest of it. So I went to my folks and I said, hey, how about we start a recording studio, which we duly did. And so we started a recording studio called Gateway in Joburg, and for the next 2 or 3 years I ran that recording studio. So I was a junior partner in the recording studio. My sister was involved and my dad was involved.
And what were you doing?
Well, we were recording jingles mostly. So we
Okay.
did a lot of jingles for like Tastic Rice and Cameo Lets Your Legs Do the Talking, and Home is Mum and Royco, and You've Come to the Right Place, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and you know,
Oh, wow.
that kind of,
Yeah.
we did the Stony Ginger Beer ads and all of that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of that kind of thing happening. And then a lot of the music producers up in Joburg were using our studio to produce music.
Okay.
We had a lot of bands coming through our studio, where I didn't do the engineering, where they'd have their own engineer, but they used our studios, etc.
Wow.
So that went on for about 3 years, and then fundamentally the family had a disagreement.
Yes.
And it became so serious that I just couldn't do it anymore.
happens,
So
yeah.
it happens. And I mean, I still love my dad, and he still loves me, I think.
Yeah.
I hope. And we basically, I signed my shares over to him. I
Yeah.
didn't get a bean out of it. I
Wow.
just gave it to him. So I signed my shares over to him, and I came down to Cape Town. And I arrived in Cape Town because I signed everything away. I arrived in Cape Town with no money. So I had enough cash from my salary to rent a place, but I couldn't buy like things like desks or anything. So I
Yeah.
took the door of our kitchen and I got a couple of milk crates.
Yes, yeah.
And then I put the door on the milk crates, and I put a telephone on the door, and I said, okay, my advertising company is open for business. I called it Ad Makers.
Yes.
And we went out and we talked to small companies and said to them, hey, wouldn't you like to have radio advertising?
Did you do that off? Because we had a big book called The Yellow Pages.
Yes,
with
exactly
all the
right.
SMEs
exactly
and
right.
the
yeah.
individuals.
I think Yellow Pages is global.
Yes.
But yeah, at the time there was no such thing as going to the internet. I mean, so
What a
there was
weird
no
world.
internet. Hey? Yeah, imagine. Hey? Go figure. So you'd go through the Yellow Pages, you'd pick an industry, and then I'd just phone the guys and say, hey, what would you say if I could get you onto the radio for 50 Rand? And well, I would be very interested. Fantastic. I'm coming to see you. And I'd go and see the guys, sit with them. And I'd close some deals and I wouldn't close some deals.
Sure.
But we landed up probably doing about 10 advertising campaigns a month. And that business just grew. And we started picking up bigger clients. We picked up a couple of major private aeroplane companies, and we then got into property, and that company is still going today. It's still very successful, Ad Makers, and it's in the property field,
Yeah. The high-end property field.
high-end property,
Yeah. Okay.
like big properties selling for like mega, and they've got awards up the wazoo for that. So kind of at that point, though, I really didn't enjoy advertising because it's a very stressful business.
Yes, it is.
And so one morning, I woke up under my desk, and I didn't know how I got there.
Yeah.
So we'd been on such tight deadlines and working such long hours that I really didn't know how I landed up under the desk. And I thought, well, that's it, I'm done. So I sold my share to my partner, and I basically got out of there. And I sort of messed around for a couple of years. I bought properties. I became a waiter.
Yeah.
So you buy the property and then you wait for the money to come in every month.
Every month.
Love that job.
It's the best.
Like
Yeah.
being a waiter.
So before you go on, Richard, within multi-level marketing, you've got so many clever insights, like the elevator pitch that you use for Acorn Kids, which you're going to get into. But the one that I loved from Ad Makers was when you're selling the radio time, was to sit across from your potential clients and say, I want to sell you a 30-second ad, and then just pause.
Well, I'd say to them, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to time this thing.
Yes.
And I want you to imagine what you can say in the next 30 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. And then I'd say, okay, you ready? And the guy would say, yes. I say, okay, go.
Yeah.
And then I'd keep quiet. And 30 seconds is a very long time when you're both sitting there staring at
Look at each other. Yeah.
And when he wanted to talk, I'd say,
Yeah. Still going.
and I'd wait until the full 30 seconds had gone. And I'd say, imagine what we could say about your business in that much time. And that's the thing that kind of got the guy excited about doing the radio advertising, because 30 seconds is a long time. You can get a good message across in 30 seconds. And we used a lot of like crazy tricks and things to get people to listen. So like the one day that we did the guy's telephone number.
Yes.
So the telephone number was 724-9036. That
Yes.
number again, 439-7012. So we got two totally different numbers. You will not believe the number of calls that client
Really?
got. Mostly telling him that they put two different numbers in there.
Yes, yeah.
Of course, but
Now they're on the line.
and of course it garnered so much attention. So we did try and do clever things in that in the ad
Very
agency.
good.
It was doing that kind of thing was a lot of fun, and writing the ads and doing the jingles and the voiceovers, that was also quite a lot of fun. I mean, I was a musician, so
Yeah.
we were able to get involved in the whole writing of the jingles and all of that.
Wow. Wow.
And in ad makers, just as a matter of interest, in 98, I got introduced for the very first time to multi-level marketing.
Yes.
So this guy, shame, he's passed away now, but Gert van Zyl, he spent a lot of time in America where they called him Gert van Ziegel. But
Yes.
but Gert van Zyl, he came into our offices one day and he told me about this multi-level marketing business. And he told me how 2 people become 4, 16, 32, 64. And I'm like, whoa. So I went and did the numbers. 2, 4, 16, 32, 60, 128, 2,643,000. Let's go and buy a Porsche.
Yes.
You know, the typical thing.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, why isn't everybody doing this? And so we went and put a deal together with RCI, with one of their subsidiaries, whereby they would give us these holidays and we would send people along to go and do a pitch, an RCI pitch.
Yeah.
And so we were selling those holidays through multi-level marketing. And so that thing just exploded. I mean, it just went through the roof. I remember at the time, it was sort of before the internet was a thing. People were literally bringing in shoeboxes of cash into the office.
Wow.
It was incredible. The business just absolutely went ballistic. I thought I'd won the jackpot.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and this is where we talked about the other day about supplier agreements.
Yeah.
The problem is we didn't have a written contract with this company.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a written agreement that they would supply us. And they couldn't cope with the volumes. We were sending them too many leads. They couldn't cope with the phone calls. It was causing reputational damage.
Of
And
course.
they just pulled the plug on us.
Wow.
So you can imagine we got all of this momentum, and then suddenly
shut
RCI
down.
just pulls the plug on us. So that was pretty serious. And, we closed the whole business down. I got pretty badly burnt with that little exercise.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience of multi-level marketing, realizing that you could grow these businesses at crazy pace. But that there obviously is the risk on from the supply side of things, which is.
But didn't you mention to them in the beginning, guys?
No, I
There's
told them.
when we hit exponential growth, these orders are going to be coming in. Can you keep up?
Yeah, look, I did. We did tell them this thing was going to go crazy, but remember that I had no experience.
Yeah.
So I was ignorant.
Yeah.
And what you think you know and what the reality is always two different things. You don't know what you don't know until you don't know it.
Right.
And so that was a hard lesson to learn, eh? No, and don't worry, I made the same mistake again a few years later. It wasn't I find that I have to make mistakes several times before they sink in, So
It seems to be 3 times.
yeah, at least.
Yeah. Or in your Fargo.
So, smack you, boy.
I know.
Don't bring that up.
Yes, exactly. Moving on.
Moving on. Yes. So when I got out of ad makers, I spent a period of time, sort of, as I said, we had properties, we were living off our income from that. But this this MLM thing was still at the back of my mind, and I was looking for something to do, and I decided, well, the way to make money in this world is through IT. I saw that the IT wave was coming. I thought computers were now starting to be a thing. People had computers everywhere. They're becoming ubiquitous. I thought, well, if you can write software, the beauty of it is you write it once, you sell it many times. You manufacture the product once, and then you can sell it an infinite amount of times. It's the same as writing music or writing a book. The difference is that you have to be super talented to write music. You have to be super talented to write a book. But to write a good piece of software, you just need to have an idea.
Yeah.
You know, you just need to, well, this is a cool idea. People will buy into this idea, off I go. And there's a higher barrier to entry because the skill levels you need to write software is quite high. So I thought, okay, I'm going to learn to program. And I went back to school, and I went to a couple of colleges. I did a whole lot of courses, and they were terrible. So I thought, no, this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
So what I did is I went and I started my own computer training college called Dakota.
Of course you did.
Yes. So I thought what I'll do is I'll start a college. I will get a number of other students to study with me, and that will give me the cash to go out and buy the best developers that money can buy. Guys who really know their stuff, who can teach you what goes on in the real world. So we started the business, and that ran for about 3 years. And I got the best developers money could buy. And I thought, well, I'll just run a very small operation. So I got a salesperson in who was selling the courses, and I would just be a student in the course.
So you enrolled as one of the students.
No, I was just one of the
in your
students.
own college. Yeah.
And within about 6 months, we'd had to take 2 other office spaces to spread out. We were running 5 classes. 5 courses simultaneously. We were running day, we were running night, we were running weekends. The place was absolutely jam-packed. We couldn't keep up with the demand. It was crazy, you know. And I was learning to program. I was loving every moment of that because I was learning how the software worked and how to develop cool stuff. And I developed a management system for the college, and you know, so I was really getting into it. And then at about sort of middle of 99, I decided, well, that's it, I'm done. I know everything I need to know. And the company made me an offer I couldn't understand. And I figure if you can't understand the offer, definitely time to sell.
Yes.
So they bought the company. And I was back to being a waiter. So I kind of bought the properties, waited for the money to come in. And funnily enough, and we've talked about this, I used to go to your uncle's Wimpy.
Yeah.
So in Cavendish, your uncle had a Wimpy.
Yes.
And that Wimpy, what they'd done in there, they'd created this fantasy land with slides and trees and, I mean, the faces in the trees. And I mean, it was incredible.
So my father owned that part.
Was your dad?
So he owned, and it was called Never Neverland.
That's right.
And the adjoining restaurant was the Wimpy, which my uncle then managed. So he ran that. Well, so the kids would go and play, and then the parents would come and just sit and have a coffee. And
so what we would do, because really nice, our kids were small.
Yeah.
So we'd go and sit and have a coffee and read the paper and chat, and the children would play at Neverland, and I mean, it was fantastic. And anyway, I was reading the newspaper there, and I read this article which said that in South Africa, I think at the time it was 30% of the population was unemployed.
Yeah.
Or it was 20. I think it's 25% or something like that. It was quite low compared to today.
Yeah.
So it's 25% of the population was unemployed, but the expanded unemployment rate was closer to 35%. And what expanded unemployment means is that if you count the people who've given up hope of ever finding a job,
that's
then we're at
terrible.
35%. And at the time I said to my wife, Heike, I said, look, somebody really needs to do something about this. I mean, this is just horrible. How can a quarter of your people, officially, a quarter of your people be unemployed? And that's really ridiculous. And really, why isn't somebody doing something about this? And she said to me, well, look, Richard, you're sitting on your fat backside doing nothing. Why don't you do something about it? And kind of, as I said, I'd had this idea of the multi-level marketing business running around in my head. And when I looked at MLM, I thought, well, look, in South Africa, you can forget about finding jobs. At the time, the jobs were flying out the window. The people who could create jobs were leaving the country. The employment laws in South Africa were draconian, and people didn't want to employ anybody.
Yeah.
The money was fleeing the country. So we had a situation where jobs were just disappearing wholesale. And so I thought the only way that you can actually create a solution in South Africa is to create opportunity. And the best kind of opportunity is a micro business.
Yeah.
If you could teach somebody how to do something a micro business that they could put a roof over their head and food on their table, then you could solve a large chunk of the country's problem. And when I looked at multi-level marketing, and I looked at companies like Avon, and I looked at the companies like Tupperware, and there's a number of those kind of companies where people would buy the product and then sell it on to their friends, and their friends would buy the product from a demonstration. Or they would sell the product to their friends, then buy it with their friends' money. So they could even leverage their clients' money to buy the products and ship it to them. So they could create an income stream like that.
It's brilliant.
And I thought, wow, this is actually an incredible way to make a living. So I thought, well, what is needed here is a software package that manages that process. So that any manufacturer can plug their product in, can sign up people, and can be up and running. So I thought that's what we'd do.
Yeah.
So I went and found actually one of my students at my college, a guy called Wayne Barker. I said to him, don't you want to come and join me?
Yeah.
So he joined me, became a partner in the business, and we signed up a whole lot of developers, and we thought, okay, we're going to do this. So in January of 2000, he had to give in notice, and he wanted to get his bonus. So he only resigned after he got his bonus. And so in January 2000, we started the business.
Okay.
And we started Netready, and we wrote our first lines of code. And when we scoped the project, it was 6 months. It's going to take us 6 months. We'll have a minimum viable product out there. We'll be able to start trading, and we'll then generate enough cash to sort of fund the growth of the business. And then these horrible words, suddenly popped out of my mouth. Wouldn't it be cool if? Now, software development and wouldn't it be cool if should never, ever be in the same room together at any given time. Because what happens is that you say, wouldn't it be cool if? And everybody say, yeah, that would be super cool. And then you're off down a rabbit hole. And what was supposed to be a 6-month build became a 3-year build.
Wow.
So it took us about 2 years to get a minimum viable product. We still had a way to go. It took us another year to get it to sort of mature enough that we were happy with it.
Yeah.
And so I started trying to sell it at the end of 2002. So in the beginning of 2003, I went out to now 5 clients.
Yeah. So this brings up a frustration that I experience, is that some of the clients that I speak to, they go, I can actually just build the software myself. I've got a developer and you can just do it.
Yes.
3 years later.
You can build something yourself. So you can build a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You can build something. You can't build Netready.
Yeah.
That's for sure. There's no ways that you can build it. You have to throw a lot of money at it. We're burning about $1 million a month, and we've been doing that for, in our new version, about 36 months.
Yeah.
So we've put in about 36 million into building Netready. So you can go out and build something. You can't build Netready. That's for sure.
What is it in dollar terms? It's $2.5 million.
Yeah, $2.5 million.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've got to actually, so that's kind of what we've put into it, just in the last 3 years. Never mind what we put into it sort of going back to 2000. I mean, the investment in Netready has been freaking massive, and the learning curve has been there as well.
Sure.
So I went out to try and sell the software. I couldn't give it away.
I
could not give it away. I tried to get people to just try it for free. They weren't interested. Why not? Oh, it's a pyramid scam.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of those illegal pyramids.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be associated with that. I mean, there was this, like, at the time, there was this whole connotation. And I would say to them, but what about Avon or Tupperware?
Right.
Oh, but that's different. That's what I'm asking you to do. No, it's a pyramid scam. So we kind of got to the middle of 2003.
Yeah.
No clients.
Yeah.
And by that stage, my money was basically, I was hemorrhaging.
Yeah. And properties? What happened?
Well, I sold them. I had to fund the business. So every time we would run low on cash, I would flog one of the properties, and then I would use that capital to fund it. And I was pretty stupid. I could have gone out and got some venture capital, which I should have done. But let's call it ignorance. I didn't understand the venture capital solution at all.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
And so I thought that you built businesses with your own cash, which that's what we did.
Mm.
So we get to the middle of 2003, no properties left,
Wow.
100,000 overdrawn in the bank, zero income because we couldn't find a client. So we let all of our developers go. It's just me and Wayne left. And I said to him, look, Wayne, the only way that we're going to be able to prove this works is to start a company and an MLM company and trade our way out of this.
Yeah.
And he was like, no ways, I'm going to get a job. I said, just hang in there. Let's just give this a go. And so we started a company called Acorn Kids selling bubble bath.
Yeah.
And he said to me, are you crazy? Why do you want to sell bubble bath? I said, well, it's the one product that I cannot imagine anybody in their right mind trying to MLM.
Yes.
So we will never be in competition with anybody. So if we do get a client, they're not going to sit there saying, oh, but you're in competition with us. And bubble bath, who's going to sell bubble bath?
Yeah.
So we went off and I sold my car at an A6, my pride and joy.
Oh, man.
I was so sad.
Ah.
Anyway, I sold the car and I took that cash and I used some of it to live on. And we actually moved into a caravan at the time because we were living in a trailer because we, as Americans call it, because we really didn't have money for like anything. We had no money.
Wow.
And so we took the money from the A6 and we bought some stock. And we put the stock on the thing, and a friend of mine who I've known for years said, listen, I've just built these factory units. I'll let you have it for 6 months free. So I mean,
Wow.
what a blessing was that, eh?
Yeah.
So we moved into this little factory,
Yeah.
and we literally dropped the hammer on the MLM side of things. And I thought, well, this is going to be easy. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Let's buy a Porsche.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I thought this was not going to be difficult at all. And in the first month, I only signed up 2 people. So I was really panicking because we signed up 2 people. Each person did about 1,000 Rand sales, if I can remember correctly. So we did about 2,000 Rand sales.
Oh, my
I mean,
goodness.
it wasn't even minimum wage for a packer. So Heike was packing the products.
Yes.
And we had this one wall of stock, and she would pack the products, and the courier would come and take it off to the person. And then I just went out there. I took those 2 people, and I said, right, guys, let's go and set up, we called them color workshops, where we demoed the products with your friends. I went up set color workshops, and when we were in the color workshops, I said, who would like to be a full-time mommy with a part-time business? If you're interested, please put it on your form. We'll get together. I'll show you how to do it. And I worked 16 hours a day. I got up every morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd do our admin in the morning. I'd then get out there. I would do one opportunity meeting. I'd coffee meetings. I would go to people's homes. I would do opportunity meetings in the evening. I'd go and see the creches and the nursery schools and that. I was just, and then I'd get home at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Drop into bed. We're up 4 o'clock the next morning. We're at work at 5, and we just did that. And for 6 months, I just grafted my guts out. But we hit critical mass. And so 6 months after starting, we were doing $1 million a month, shipping half a ton of product a day.
Wow.
Now, it's one of the things that kind of, I mean, you've seen it happen. I get super irritated with clients where they kind of stuck their toe in the water, felt that it was a bit too warm, and then give up.
Yeah.
And I think this is just pathetic. Why on earth, I mean, why bother in the first place if you're going to, the first bit of headwind you get, you give up? It's crazy.
Well, maybe it's a wishbone, backbone story.
They've got a wishbone but no backbone.
It could be that, you know? This is a hard industry. It's a complex industry. And to be able to crack it, you're going to have to put your head down. You have to wake up at 4 o'clock every morning, and you have to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and if you don't have the work ethic, that's one thing. If you don't have the work ethic, you can forget about it. So I mean, for me, we had there was no back door for me.
Yeah.
There was no way out. I didn't have a person who I could go to and say I need to borrow money.
Sure.
There was no back door, so it had to work.
Yeah.
And so it worked, And so Acorn Kids just took off. And Netready, our software, gave us a real edge in the market because we were the only people at the time that had a SaaS offering where people could log into their back office and see what was happening and order online. And so we had this really cool SaaS solution, and it was one of the first SaaS plays here in South Africa. So Netready was a real game changer for us, and our team was super excited about it. And so I decided there's no ways I'm not selling Netready to anybody.
Yeah.
It's our secret weapon,
Right.
and I'll just carry on working on it,
Yeah.
build it up, make sure it's epic, and it'll be our secret weapon,
Yeah.
and we'll run Netready. And we had, at the time, we had 10,000 agents putting food on their table and a roof over their head.
That's amazing.
So we were making a real impact, and I thought, okay, so we're making an impact, we're fulfilling the dream, we're doing what I wanted to do. Let's just build this business up.
And that software was supporting one client that's created 10,000 jobs.
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah.
if we can get to 100, 1,000, 10,000
exactly.
clients, how many
Well,
jobs?
that was the original dream. So, but at that time, I thought, well, nobody wanted it. Their loss, because you know that when you control the value chain, in the
Right.
space, when you control the value chain, your profits are big.
Yeah.
So I went from being broke to putting R500,000 a month in my pocket. And that was nice.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed that, I have to say.
I'm sure.
Back to being a waiter.
Yeah.
So that actually went really well. But as things were going, we're about 18 months, 2 years into the business. The business was working well. We had a team of people. We had a warehouse running. We were picking, we're packing, we're shipping. And I thought, okay, this is a really good business. I'm enjoying it. And then at that point, I really locked into not selling the software. Of course, at that point, everybody wants it.
Of course.
Naturally.
Yeah.
So we got approached by a big telecommunications company. They wanted to launch a telecoms business on the back of this. So they flew me up to Joburg. I went and sat down with the director of the company, the CEO, hell of a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he talked about it. He'd been involved in multi-level marketing.
Okay.
He understood the industry. He saw the potential. And so he invested in the Netready system. Now, the way that it worked at the time is he paid me. I did the changes he wanted. It was a big check. The system was his. Off he went. And they took that system and they went to about 800 million rand in billable minutes on the system. So they grew a massive business off the back of the MLM space. I was then approached by a huge insurance company, and we got very heavily involved with them, launching a MLM play for them. So that was also a huge learning experience for us.
Yeah.
And at that time, we were so involved in these other projects that I wasn't really applying myself to Acorn Kids anymore. And our suppliers approached us and said, look, they really want to buy the business. So I said, well, make me an offer. And they made me an offer I couldn't understand. And as I said to you, if you can't understand the offer, time to let the business go. Anyway, they bought the company, and that company's still going today. You can go to acornkids.com, and that company's still running today, still successful. So that was a wonderful business. Still a wonderful business, and there are still full-time moms with a part-time business putting a roof over their head and food on their table in that business.
And the loveless people running that company.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
Just
such a good relationship.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're still running on Netready.
Yes.
So, so there's an example of an MLM business, which is 18 years down the road, is still
18 years
running successfully, still generating really good profits. Fantastic business. Anyway, so I sold the business then. This is a long story.
This is a great story.
And I decided I would put my head down and work with it. And we got probably, 15 or 20 clients. And the software worked. It was at a point in its development where it was mature. We didn't have a problem with it. There was no bugs. The system just worked. And at that time, I was actually quite burnt out. I'll be honest with you. We'd been pushing very, very hard.
I'm sure.
And ramping up Acorn Kids had been a massive job. And so I decided that this was the perfect lifestyle business. So Kirsten, who is still with us today, was one of our clients, and she resigned from the client. And after she resigned, let's make this clear, after she resigned and she was out of the business, I offered her a job at Netready because she's amazing. I mean, she was amazing when she was one of our clients. She was running that whole operation for them. And I talked to the client. I didn't just do it. So I talked to the client. I got permission. I then employed her into our business. And she kind of ran the business, but for me, it was a lifestyle business. So for many years, up until about 3 years ago, it was just generated. It was a cash cow. Just generated income. And I took a year off and traveled around South Africa teaching my kids about South African history. Then we went to spend a year going through Europe. Then we went and traveled all over America in an RV and, taught the kids. I mean, we stood on the battlefields of Antietam and
Wow.
my wife read to the kids about American history, what happened on those battlefields. And we went to where Pocahontas, met, what's his, Captain Smith or whatever his name is. And we saw they've got ships there that are sort of, what do they call it, replicas of the Mayflower and all of that. That's all, there. And my wife talked to them about American history, and we were teaching our kids about the world, and we went to the East for a while. So for me, Netready was this epic lifestyle business because it just kept on generating money. The businesses loved the system. Everybody just ran on the platform. Their whole business ran on the platform, and they just kept on running, and we just kept on enjoying the fruits of that particular system.
Yeah.
So now we're coming more up to today, because what happened about 3.5 years ago, my son, who's also a software developer, he came to me and said, listen, you're getting to the point where you need to look at retiring. Why don't we join forces? We take Netready to a whole new level. We make it like a world-beating piece of software.
Yeah.
And then what will happen is, over the next 3 to 5 years, I'll step in as CEO of the company. You step out. You go, and I'll put you out to pasture.
Yes.
And you can go and enjoy your twilight years, and I'll run the company. So I said, well, fantastic. So 3.5 years ago, we started rebuilding Netready from the ground up. Basically, scrapped all the code and literally started what is the most modern way of doing things, and we started rebuilding the system. And so the last 3.5 years, the single-minded goal is, how do we become the best software in the world, bar none?
Yes.
We don't want to be the best software in South Africa. We want to be the best software in the world, bar none. So what we did is we went and looked at all of the major sort of software packages out there and saw what they were doing. And one of the key things that we noticed is that most of the companies who were in the MLM space, they would use Zendesk for their CRM stuff. They would use Shopify for the e-commerce stuff. They would use MailChimp for the emailing.
Yes.
They'll use lead pages for their funnels and online marketing.
Right. Yeah.
They would use what's this SMS portal for their SMSing and that side of things. They would have some sort of reporting mechanism that they would use to generate reports on their for their data.
All these different
So they had all of these different systems, and what they would do is they would try and synchronize them with some sort of integration.
Yeah, which we call string and bubblegum.
Yeah, so they were putting them together and trying to synchronize the data. But the thing is that what we recognized very early on is that you can't synchronize data to the point where you can leverage it properly.
Yeah.
Like, you want to send out an email, you can't leverage the data just by synchronizing it. You have to understand that data. You have to be able to mine that data properly to be able to communicate via email. If you're running funnels, you have to be able to mine the data coming in on the funnel so that you can communicate with them. And that, has the person bought the starter kit? Have they done a specific course? Have they logged any tickets? Have we had integrations with them? Have they gone to their Facebook account? We don't know any of those things if you've got the Spirit systems.
Sure.
So what we did is we went and dissected the major products in the market. We said, okay, let's have a look at customer relations management, which is the first module we built, actually. And we went and looked at the best CRM systems in the planet, and we said, okay, what do we like about it? And we wrote out a list of everything we liked. What don't we like about it? We wrote out that list. And then what do we think we can do or add to this picture that is like mind-blowing, that'll wow people? And so we went through this process with every single one of our modules, but we built it into a single, central, consolidated database. So that all the data goes into one place, and I can mine that data. So I can send it an email based on what tickets were raised, or what orders were placed, or whether a person even visited the site or not. Did he come to a page? Did he go to a landing page? Has he given us his information? Did he not give us his information? I can use that information to remarket him on Facebook and all of that. So we've got the single data source. But what's really powerful about this is that the system is no longer a multi-level marketing solution.
Right.
It's now the best funneling solution in the world.
Yeah.
If you just want to run a funneling business,
Yeah.
then Netready is the most epic funnel and online marketing process, because the funnels are integrated with the e-commerce and integrated with the customer relations management system. So you could get leads coming in that raise a ticket. Emails could go out. So that whole segment. So as a funneling engine, it's incredible. As an e-commerce play, it's the best in the world. Because if somebody comes to the website and buys this, we can send them out an email. Hey, we saw you bought this. Why don't you look at that? Or,
Right. Yeah.
hey, we saw you didn't buy this.
Yeah.
Here's a coupon. Why don't you go and buy it?
Yeah.
So we know exactly what the guy has or hasn't done in our system on all the different touch points. So if you just wanted to use this as an e-commerce play, it's an incredible e-commerce platform. As far as I'm concerned, there is no platform out there that touches it. Not Shopify, not BigCommerce, none of them touch it, just purely as an e-commerce solution. The emailing engine is just amazing. You can send out emails and SMSs and connect with your people based on their journey with you, like their real journey. And it's their real journey as of a second ago. You don't have to import or export data or anything. If the guy buys now, I can have an entire email campaign that goes off on the back of what he bought. And if he comes to the site, I pick up he's come to the site. If he doesn't buy, I can have a whole campaign that goes to him because he didn't buy. Or if he recruited somebody, I could say, hey, well done for recruiting them. I can tell his entire upline that somebody just in your team just recruited a new person, get hold of them. So in terms of the emailer, it's amazing. I mean, one of the things we did is we built the SMSing into the emailer. So we had a bad open rate with one of our clients. So we sent everybody an SMS. And we sent them an SMS if they had not opened the email.
Right.
Said, hey, we sent you this email, but we see you haven't opened it. But there's an epic offer there. Please open it. Our open ratios went through the roof. So as a pure emailing engine, it's incredible. So we built all of these verticals that you can actually use. And one of the verticals is, of course, multi-level marketing. Now with our multi-level marketing clients, we say, hey, listen, you need all of it.
Yep.
So when you become an MLM client for us, you get everything. No matter whether you're a small ignition client or an enterprise level company, we give it. Everybody gets everything. So you've got your SMSing, you've got your emails, you've got your customer relations management, you've got your order fulfillment, you've got your e-commerce, you've got your e-learning platform, you've got your reporting and your dashboards and that side of things. You've got a full integration. We've built a very sophisticated integration API bank that you can do anything with it. So we've got this entire integrated package now, which just it's mind blowing.
What I love about it is it's a single source ecosystem for the interpretation of the network and customers.
Yes.
Understanding where customers and network members are in the journey through your business, and being able to send them communication to enhance, upsell, create loyalty, build, train, educate. It's a single source system to do all of those things.
Yeah, and we're on the ground floor.
Yeah.
If you have a look at our roadmap, I mean, I'm so excited about the stuff that's coming out. I mean, the system that we have today is epic. It's exceptional. But I can promise you in 6 months' time, what we will have will blow what we've got out the water. And in 12 months' time, I'll tell you the same thing, because our roadmap is incredible. What we are doing and how we are doing it and how we are building out the system and the vision we have for this business and for these systems is epic. What we want to do is, if you want an e-commerce system, there must be no other choice. It must be Netready.
Sure.
If you want a funnel system, well, it's already the best in the world, but it's going to be, I mean, we've got ideas for that are just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, that's what it's all about, is having created something that is world-class, a world beater as far as I'm concerned, but where our vision for this is that we're only on ground floor now. That in a year's time, this is going to be 1,000 times better. And in 5 years' time, I mean, nobody can catch us. We've got so much momentum.
Yeah. And I mean, that's our goal, Richard. That's what we've been striving towards, and I feel like we're achieving that now. We'll never be happy with where we are, so we're always doing system upgrades and versions, and we've got exciting things on our roadmap. Now, over the past 21 years of Netready being around, you know, there's been tough times, but there's been some incredible times. But for us as the company, let's look at our clients. So we've had hundreds of clients come through Netready. Some of them have done incredible work, and they've really, they've got to the $1 million a month mark, which is exactly where we want to get them to.
And beyond.
And beyond.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of clients that haven't done that. There's clients, and I want to say the majority of our clients haven't got to the point where they're doing $1 million plus a month.
Yeah, no, that's true.
What is the reason for that?
Well, look, it's tough, and when you've been doing business, let's not call it multi-level marketing, but when you've been in business a long time, you actually become complacent in your understandings and your insights and your knowledge.
Sure.
So for me to set up Acorn Kids, okay, we were setting it up against the clock because we obviously had a limited amount of money. But we had massive insights into how logistics work and how software works and how to sell, because I'd been selling my whole life. And so I knew how to sell and I knew how to recruit people and all of those things. But what happens is a client comes to us, and what we discover is that they don't know how to set up a logistics network. They've got no clue. They don't know what it takes. They don't know how to set up the software. They've got no clue. They don't know how that works. And it's like almost overwhelming to them to set. I mean, Netready is an enterprise level solution. It's a massive solution.
Yeah.
So setting up Netready becomes a huge challenge to them. And then, of course, there's things like the deals with their suppliers, making sure the supply agreements are in place. And so there's a pile of things. And you and I sat in the boardroom the other day when we were trying to work out how we're going to put a course together that helps these small startups to understand what they need to do.
Right.
And we discovered that, man, oh man, there's a lot to know here.
That board was full with pain points and challenges and complexities that if you don't know what you don't know until you
don't know. Yeah, exactly. And so, so one of the things that we've pinpointed, one of the big areas that have been problematic for our clients is that they don't realize that you're running a normal business and you've got all of the problems that come with a normal business. And now, on top of that, you've got to go and recruit an army of volunteers. And there's a whole strategy around recruiting and retaining an army of volunteers. And so basically, if I can put it into crazy terms, you're running a big, complex company and a church.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's exactly what you got. Because the network, they don't have to be there. You've got no leverage over them. So there's an entire strategy about how you get them on board, how you get them motivated, how you keep them motivated, how you reduce your churn, how you make sure they sell, how you make sure that they understand what they're doing. That is a business all in of itself. And then you've got this entire company to organize, which is your logistics, paying the commissions, working out the compensation plan, running the staff, doing the support, making sure that if somebody's product didn't arrive, there's somebody to answer the phone and help them. So, and it's massive.
It's massive.
It is absolutely huge. And so for me, I mean, we came to this realization together is that the reason that so many of our clients sort of don't get to the 100-member mark and literally just fold is because they don't understand, A, what it takes, and B, they don't have the manpower or the time or the capital to push through that initial pain. Because look, your first 100 people is, as you know, it's the most difficult thing you will do in our space. Going from 100 people, 100 committed, active, trained people to 10,000 people is substantially easier than just getting that first 100 people.
Sure.
So as you know, what we've done is we've put together the Dream Team project, which I'm super excited about. And
very pumped about it.
I'm doing regular webinars on it. So if anybody out there wants to actually dig into the details of it, please come along and check out our webinars. But fundamentally, what we've decided to do is to do it for the client. So what I'm busy doing at the moment and what we're involved is in setting up a full warehouse. So the idea is you deliver your product to the warehouse, we pick it, we pack it, we ship it, we do the full fulfillment for you, we make sure the client gets it. We have the arrangements with the shippers, with the courier companies, with all of that stuff. We
warehouse management software, everything.
We have the staff in the warehouse, and we make sure that it is such a low cost point to you that it's just a no-brainer. The second thing is we run your entire support team. So we have a support team that sits here at our offices. who will answer the questions. If somebody's product didn't arrive or if they don't understand something about the business, our support team will take those, field those questions and answer them. So what we're doing away here is we've done away completely with warehousing. You don't have to worry about it. We've done away completely with all of your support. So that whole support side of things, gone.
Yeah, which is your staffing cost. That's gone now.
So you don't have to have those offices, training, etc. Then what we're doing is we're putting together training. So where we train your people, your network, on how the compensation plan works, how the software works, how to leverage the e-commerce platform and your replicated platform, etc. We train your people on that. So that gives them the ability to actually
Run their micro business.
There's a couple of other things that we're doing for them. We do all of the money, the finances. So we collect the cash for them. We run the credit card gateways. We make sure that the money came into the bank. We check that the money's there. We then pay the commissions out. So we calculate the commissions. We pay them out. We design the compensation plans so that the compensation plan is effective. We teach the jockey or the owner of the company how to run the business, how to not how to run all the warehousing and stuff, but how to build their 100 people. So we go through a launch strategy with them, show them how to build their first 100 people, how to take 100 people to 10,000 people, and they don't have to worry about anything else. The supplier delivers the product directly to us. We handle everything for them, and they just go out and build their network. And so we just take all the pressure off them, and the idea is that they just then focus on the one thing that they can do easily.
Yes.
And that is find their 100 people, train their 100 people how to do the business, and get their 100 people out of the blocks.
Yeah. It's brilliant. You can't possibly be an expert in all of these fields. As the owner of the company, you cannot be an expert in warehouse management and manage that process with 100% time and attention. You can't do it with your support team. You can't do it with your finances. You can't do it with creating all the documentation and all the marketing material and collateral that you need.
Yes, we provide all the marketing material and collateral on that front.
Exactly.
The starter kits, all of that stuff.
So and I keep coming back to the word complexity, because that's exactly what it is. There are all these different departments and verticals that you cannot be an expert in. So what we have done with Dream Team is, because we are experts and we have the staff resources and knowledge in those spaces
And the funding.
We've been able to create this Dream Team, where all we need is our brand partners to come in, plug their products, compelling products.
Yeah.
And
we're obviously picky about what we take here, because we want the guys to succeed.
To have a whole vetting process, there's an application involved, and the next thing is build the network. These people know people, and they would have got into this industry because they've got a great product and they know the power of multi-level marketing and think they can build a network.
Yes.
We just need to provide them with the resources on how. Go out and build this immense network.
Exactly. And so that's kind of what the Dream Team project is, that you become involved with the Dream Team. So we consider ourselves to be the Dream Team, and we are going to partner with you, and what we're going to do is we're going to drive your business and actually get you to a point where you are super profitable. And as I said, the idea was that we wanted to get away from people coming into the business and really struggling to get their business off the ground, because the 3 hours or 2 hours that they've got a day where they're not running their business, they're trying to recruit people, and it's just not enough.
It's not enough.
You know, and we've seen guys with amazing products not be able to get their businesses off the ground because they just don't have the hours in the day to drive it.
Sure.
And so that's the part that we want to eliminate from their risk. We want to say to them, hey guys, there's no risk, because we're taking all the financial risk here. All you got to do is make sure that your product is secure, that you're not going to lose it because you don't have proper agreements in place, and that you can supply us and that you can scale. So when we look at it, we want continuity of price, we want continuity of supply, and we want the ability to scale. So those are the things. Oh, and there's continuity of quality. So we want to know that you're going to give us a quality product at a decent price forever, because that's where the initial risk is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go out and help you drive your business extremely hard to try and get that network growing. One of the exciting parts of this is that we've got more than one brand partner. And so let's say you and I are both brand partners, and I'm selling sunglasses and you're selling glasses. Now, your network could buy my products and my network could buy your products. And no matter which of us buy,
We're earning.
we're both making money.
Mm.
So if my people buy your product, I'm making money, and
Sure.
you're making money, and vice versa. So what we're doing is we're not only leveraging your network, but you get to leverage my network.
Sure.
And if we've got 10 brand partners, you're leveraging 10 brand partners' networks.
Yeah.
So I think that this whole Dream Team thing is extremely exciting. And I think that it's something that if you haven't seen it, and I'm talking directly into the camera here, but if you haven't seen it, you need to get hold of Stuart, and he will send you a link to our next webinar where I'll be demonstrating this whole Dream Team project. I really think it's something you should take a look at.
And I 100% agree, Richard. And I think it stems from us looking internally to Netready, going, what are our pain points? What are we experiencing as frustrations? What can we work on? And what it came down to is that we have these unbelievable clients that have come on board. And we spend a lot of time in their corner educating them on the system, speaking to them about warehousing, and giving them a whole bunch of strategic advice, which takes up a lot of time. And 6 months down the line, they go, you know what, it's too difficult, or I dipped my toe in, it was too warm, and I'm stepping out. And it's a frustration.
But you can understand it, though.
Of
I mean,
course
I'm
you can
busy
understand
setting
it.
up a warehouse at the moment for Dream Team. And now I know how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Got
I'm not
experience.
sleeping.
Yeah.
So at 2 o'clock this morning, I was busy lying in bed. I couldn't sleep. So I was on my computer. Okay, where do I find totes? What warehouse management systems am I going to choose? I've got these 4 that I've shortlisted. Watching videos on the various different systems to see what's happening. What are the most modern packing methods that are going on? And that's a business all on itself. It's a massive business all on itself.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't expect the clients to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what they got to do.
We've got a professional consultant to come in, and we're speaking with them, we're working alongside.
Exactly.
But, you know, when do our clients ever have time to do that?
No, exactly.
They don't.
Yeah. So you can understand why they're struggling.
Sure.
And we've identified that, and that's kind of one of the things I'm super excited about in terms of Netready's projects rolling forward, is that this Dream Team option is on the table. Obviously, you can still become an enterprise client and use the Netready system. Or one of our standard clients just use the Netready system. Do your own thing. Maybe you've already got a warehouse. Maybe you've already got all of that stuff in place. Fine. But for the vast majority of people getting into the space, they have no idea what they're letting themselves in for. And so that's where this whole Dream Team thing comes into play, is to take that pain out from under them. We're kind of at the end of our time.
We are. I mean, we've got 3 minutes left.
And there's some other pressing activity that needs to be attended to.
What was that?
The 19 coffees that I had this morning are needing to be attended to. I have to just tell you.
Okay. I'm going to bring this bad boy into land then. Richard, thank you so much. What an epic story this has been. I'm so privileged, and we spoke about this earlier. I mentioned this to you when we were going through the story and a couple elements that we wanted to speak on. I've had a lot of experience in traditional business, and there's been great times and there's been not so great times. I walk into this office every single day. I speak to my clients every single day. I engage with them. I love every interaction with them. This business is a business
You're making me go goosey.
that I will never ever leave. This industry is an industry that I never want to be without.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And what we're doing with Dream Team and the developments in our software and the new versions and our exciting team that sits outside our big production studio and our guys working here, everyone is just this beautiful ecosystem which mirrors the Netready system.
Yeah.
So very excited about it, and
amazing.
it's good to be part of our family. So everyone out there that does want to be part of the family, please connect with me. I'd love to share this, our Dream Team story and what we're planning to do for next year, February 2022. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you dedicating to us here at Netready, Richard and I. Please follow us on all our channels. We've got a Facebook page, a LinkedIn page, a Spotify channel for you listening in the car to our podcasts. We've also got our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications, and we'd love to see you here next week. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the week.